Done.
Blah, 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 blah. I'm too tired to make a video.
I'm gonna go have a beer. Beer o'clock.
Yeah.
G'day, I'm Pete and you're watching Feral Fabrications. It's time to do a bunch of sanding on the Capri and get this bodywork done on the front valance. Get it ready for paint. Now here we go, the first step was just to fix up a few pinholes and then do a little bit of panel beating. I'm not a panel beater. Some guys probably be able to do this job without putting any filler in. That's not me. I'm going around with a light dinging spoon, trying to hit down any high spots as well as using the hammers, and once I've got the shape roughed out, for me it's time to put some filler in. Call it bog, call it bondo, call it filler, whatever. I'm from New Zealand so we call it bog. And here's the first application, just really roughly on there, and also just showing where I need to weld along the bottom of the valance. So I just sort of slap that in there to get the rough shape. Drilled those out and then started to plug weld that up before I actually filled it all up with filler. That's not much there, it's only like 2mm or something. So yeah, we're not putting big thick quantities in here because I did rough it all out with the hammers first. So with that done, I think this is application number 2, and you can see I'm just fitting my front spoiler here just to see how it fits. And I'm reasonably happy with it, like it's up there and it's folding up okay. But there are a couple of gaps. I think that's because I used a relatively flat panel for my rust repair, and if I'd used a crown panel I would have gone a long way to getting that fit a bit better with a little bit less filler. So anyway, that just gave me a good steer as to where I needed to add a bit more. And here's my tip for the day for body filler. Dolphin Glaze from U-Pole. It's a great product. It's essentially a really runny body filler, and it's really resistant to pinholes. It almost kind of like slime in a way. It sort of joins back to itself. It's resistant to running. If you put it on, it won't try and run down your panel. It's really strange stuff, and it is just great for starting your skim coats of filler and getting a really nice result compared to using the cheap stuff I was putting up earlier on, which is not so bad for more like a coarse filler, and maybe some more professional guys can use that type of stuff. One thing you note with this is it doesn't change colour when you put the hardener in, so that's a little bit trickier just to gauge how much you've put in, but I haven't had trouble not putting enough hardener in the past. You can see it just spreads on nice and evenly, and you can cover a massive area with not much filler, which is the name of the game. Really just trying to do these skim coats to get a really nice, flat, smooth looking repair at the end of it all. And here we go, sanding it down. I'm still using 80 grit for this. I think I've probably done about 2 or 3 coats at this stage and sanded those down. And still got a few coats to go. So I think we've done about 3 of the pink stuff and 3, here's number 4 of the Dolphin Glaze. Couldn't quite do the whole balance in one go either. It sort of took 2 goes because otherwise it would go off halfway through. You only get about 5 minutes of working time. So yeah, I think we're up to about application number 4 of the Dolphin Glaze here, and you can see I've sanded it down, and I'm just switching from 80 grit to 120 grit now. Got to remember 1 minute of this video is an hour of sanding, so plenty of sanding, taking my time. You got to sort of resist the urge to use power tools because you'll just find you'll dig in far too easily. And here I'm more just doing these final little spots. They could have been a couple of pinholes, just starting to get into tidying up some of the edges, focusing on that type of stuff. the bulk of the panel itself I'm actually happy with at this point, and I'm really just going around being sort of a bit fussy, trying to tidy up any of the edges, making sure they look like they haven't been crashed basically, which this side definitely has been. I tried to punch it out from the back side when I was doing my panel beading, but yeah, I did have to put a little bit extra filler on that top corner. And more sanding. But like I say, getting into more of the sort of just contouring the edges, putting nice transitions in and making sure it also looks even. There isn't like big globs of body filler around any edges, because that would just look crap. So you can really see it starting to take shape. Here's how I was just putting a little faint line following the sort of point of the car. That's there from factory, I'm sure, and yeah, it doesn't take much. And it doesn't go the whole way down, it's sort of just like the first half of the panel. And I should have measured that, because I actually ended up putting it in slightly the wrong spot. But I did manage to move it over later on, you'll see. Here I'm just getting into the adjacent panels a little bit when I was stripping the paint off with the wire brush, because it had all just been mushed into the seams before. I stripped all of that out with the grinder. And I'm really making a point not to put any filler in the actual seams you can see there. If I accidentally got any going over and flowing into there, I'd sand it out, use a file, whatever you need to get it out of there, but don't leave it in there because it'll look like crap. So that's pretty much it. Just had a couple of little bits to sand on that final sort of shot there. And here's just a bittersweet reminder of the actual speed when you're sanding. Or for me anyway, you might sand a little bit faster by hand, but yeah, she's slow going. Here I'm just using a bit of a file actually on some of the edges too, just to get that be a pretty nice straight line. And at this point I'm ready to put a first layer of filler primer in. Now in this case I didn't actually have to put any extra filler in after I started painting, but sometimes you may find that you paint it and you go, crap, I should have put more filler in, because that's not gonna do. The product I'm using is filler primer. I went for white just because that was the colour of the car. And you can really see it just transforms the look of the panel once you start getting some paint on. I'm not too worried about runs or anything. If you accidentally put a bit of a run in the paint at this stage, it's not a big deal, you can sand it out, but try not to, because it doesn't help. It just takes longer to sand it off and you're wasting product really. So speed up the painting there as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. First application done. I'm just going back, I might have been hitting any areas I could see there were defects a second time or a third time. Even though it's the first coat, just give it like a few minutes to dry in between shots. And here's a bit of a slow-mo of the first coat of paint, and you can see that line slightly off. I've actually marked where it needs to be. Oh, the footage not too great there, sorry about that. Anyway, I did mark it where it needed to move over. That's the paint I'm using. I've never used that brand before. It's actually not too bad, come out of the can pretty well, so rewind the video and have a look if you're interested in buying it. Just got it from my local paint shop. For sanding back the filler primer, I've gone to 240 grit. You could in theory go straight to a top coat over the filler primer, but because of the filler I'm planning to hit it with some epoxy primer. See how the bend count is, but yeah, I'd really like to hit it with epoxy primer first, 2-pack. That'll seal everything in and just make it much less likely to chip or fall out or whatever, you know. The epoxy coating is just a really tough, durable coating. And it's also quite a thick layer as well when you put that stuff on, so again, even if there was a really minor imperfection, I wasn't too worried about it because I knew I was planning on hitting it with another coat of primer and sanding that down, and then final paint after that. Just see I moved that line over slightly there, using a bit of a tape. a bit of tape to achieve that. You get a nice straight line, a wee bit of a pointer someone gave me. Worked pretty effectively really. So yeah, sprayed that in the morning and then came back that night and gave it its final sort of rub down for the filler primer. So yeah, we'll still have to come back with some epoxy later on. But yeah, I've got plans to sort out the driver's side guard coming up, and I'll do all the paint at once. So that's why I'm just taking this to this level. And I'm basically saying that the bodywork's done. You know, we're not finished with final paint, but the bodywork is going to be done at this stage. I don't like wet sanding at this point, because if you did get some of your filler wet, after you paint over the top of it, the moisture comes out and can cause everything to bubble. So I'm really trying to keep everything dry at this stage as well. So I'm not wet sanding that filler primer. And then we have it. Job done. She's looking good. Good enough for an old race car anyway. Always a good feeling to get it back on its wheels. So there we have it. The front valance bodywork's all done, ready for final paint. I've got more rust work to do, looking at that bottom of the driver's side guard down there, but I'm really not too motivated to do that straight away. I've done a lot of rust work, so need a wee bit of a break from that. I've actually got a intake manifold swap to do, and I think we'll do that next, then we'll perhaps move on to that rust repair. So, stick out for the next one, because it's a little bit more interesting than bodywork, at least I think. Yeah, got some shiny stuff from the car that we'll show you next time. It's been all vapor blasted and looking top notch. So yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks a lot for watching. Cheers.